Hey guys, so this is the preliminary kit analysis for Charon. And it took me a while to actually do this video, not because it was difficult to understand his kit or I was doing some very detailed analysis or anything, but I was actually a bit pissed with what we are getting here. A character that is representation of death, and then we get Dynamo. Like, which part of his whole thing shows electricity or advanced technology? Like, why Dynamo? They say something about brainwaves, so that's Dynamo, but they must be joking, right? Anyway, reality, he is the Dynamo character. I would have hoped that, design him differently. Design him more like a character that actually uses some form of technology, right? Or this character could have been Enigma, right? But anyway, yeah, let us go right into his kit. So the first thing I'll talk about here is his insight. So first of all, he received something called Electric M. So do note that all these names, the buff, debuff, it will change. We do not know what is their exact name yet. It might be correct, it might be wrong, so just assume that this is the correct one. So first he received Electric M. So Electric M changes how Dynamo function, not Dynamo, sorry, how pulsing electric field function. Normally, we start with level 1 electric field. You need 50 Dynamo to charge it to level 2 electric field. Then you need 70 Dynamo to charge it to level 3 electric field. And when it's at level 3 electric field, it will last for 2 rounds and then it reset back to level 1. But with Electric Amp, which means with Charon in the party, now we need 90 Dynamo to charge the electric field, and we can directly skip to level 3. You don't need level 2. So which means instead of 50 plus 70, which is 120, you just need 90 now to reach level 3. So actually you are able to reach level 3 even faster than before. And we all know when electric field is at level 3, the Dynamo team will deal crazy amount of damage. Okay, so that is about the electric field. And one thing that with his Insight 1, all overflowing Dynamo and Moxie of all allies will let Charon acquire Shockwave. And for every certain stack of Shockwave, he will acquire Tremor. So what is Shockwave and what is Tremor? Shockwave is one of the things that he needs. After he uses ultimate, he will consume part of this Shockwave in order to do an attack. So the more Shockwave you have, then the longer the ultimate, the channel will last. But I will talk about this in a little bit more detail, what I think about this when I'm talking about his ultimate. But now, basically, yeah, he will get Shockwave if there are overflowing Dynamo, which means you're already reached maximum level of the electric field. So additional Dynamo all will be overflowing, so that will turn into Shockwave. And here, the second statement here is Moxie of all allies. So any character that has overflowing Moxie will also give him Shockwave. So who has overflowing Moxie if it's not the ultimate team? So here I'm suspecting that that is actually for Centurion. Centurion, currently her skills can tap into ultimate might as well, which means the electric field will be a great advantage for Centurion. But again, I will talk about that later. And as for Tremor, it increases the penetration rate for Charon. Okay, for I3, when an enemy enters battle, the said enemy is inflicted with Thanatophobia, and when entering battle, receive Dynamo and Moxie. For each spirit and intelligence ally, receive extra Moxie. First, about the Moxie, let's assume that he get 1 when he enters the battle. And for each spirit intelligence ally, so here let's say if you are using Lucy as well as Ulrich, then there's 2 intelligent ally, so he get another 2 more Moxie, so he start with maybe 3 Moxie. Or he again count himself as another character, as an ally, then he get another Moxie. So he might start with 3 or 4 Moxie. And for Thanatophobia, is after the enemy, because the Thanatophobia is a debuff on the enemy, is being attacked, if the HP is lower than a certain percentage, Charon will deal a very high Genesis damage to the enemy, which means probably it's like instant kill. But probably if its instant kill is too broken, so they just replace it by very high Genesis damage. Maybe enough to like drain a big chunk of their HP, but not enough to kill them. But the concept here is basically, yeah, representing death, so he can do instant kill. So that makes sense, okay? That makes sense for his kit. And on top of that, reduce crit defense, and also increase damage taken when Thanatophobia reaches a certain stack. So it's a stackable debuff. So here it is skill 1 and 2 from the Void, skill 1. Mass mental damage to all enemies and give self shockwave, and when hit, inflict Thanatophobia. The thing is okay to inflict more than 1 Thanatophobia because it's a stackable debuff. And for S2 is a buff, and for himself he gains shockwave and all allies gain RIP. All allies here of course refers to Charon himself. And on top of that, the ally with Tremor converts overflowing crit rate into crit damage. So Tremor seems to be for all ally as well, because previously it's mentioned that for a certain amount of shockwave then acquire Tremor. It seems to be only for Charon, but seems like it is for the whole party. Okay, so when Tremor reaches a certain stack, the ally with Tremor, referring to possibly more than just him, so converts overflowing crit rate into crit damage when attacking. So likely if we start with 3 Moxie, he has to use S1 and S2, 1 each, and then he will get his ultimate. So I suspect here by round 2, you will be able to cast his ultimate. And for further justification why I think so, I will explain about the expected rotation from this team in a moment. And lastly, once you get his ultimate, it's a self channel. He will destroy all his S1 and S2 from the spell dogs to give himself even more shockwave. And then he will enter Shadow of the Past status. So first of all, why destroy all S1 and S2? That's because this ultimate, when you are in the Shadow of the Past status, at the end of the round, he will consume Shockwave and trigger Day of Regrets. So Day of Regrets is a mass mental damage to all enemies, and this attack is affected by Ultimate Might, so it's an incantation. It's definitely a follow-up attack, but at the same time, it is affected by Ultimate Might. And the effect, the damage, I believe, increase based on Tremor stacks. And based on the Shockwave stacks, after you trigger this attack, Charon will receive Dynamo. And all Thanatophobia and RIP increase duration, okay? So which means every round at the end while he's channeling, he will increase the duration of the buff and debuff, which is why it's okay for him to destroy all S1 and S2 because you won't even need to cast them. Okay, you will just keep extending and extending the duration. So when you trigger this attack, he will consume Shockwave, and then in the next round, when you trigger it again, he will consume even more Shockwave. So once all the Shockwave is completely consumed, then he come out from the channeling status. While he is channeling and doing the attack, he will also gain Moxie. How many? I believe it should be 1 per attack. So I assume that once you use his ultimate, you will be in the channeling status for at least 3 rounds. So he will do 3 attacks, and he will get back 3 Moxie. So you simply have to just use S1 and S2 again in order to refresh it or stack it up some more, and then you can use his ultimate. So overall, the rotation, Let us talk about electric field first. Currently, the Dynamo team, it takes 2 rounds for them to charge the field from level 2, to level 2. That is also because you just started the fight. There's a lot of things you need to set up, so you don't generate that much Dynamo. And after you reach level 2, it takes only 1 round to bring it to level 3. So this is considering you have Lucy, Aurish, and Ezra. Okay, after you have set up, then in the next round, you can focus on using incantation that charges the electric field, which is why you can quickly get it from level 2 all the way to level 3 in just 1 round. And level 3 lasts for 2 rounds. Sorry, that's the mistake in what is written there. But level 3 lasts for 2 rounds. So you take 3 rounds to set up, 2 rounds for level 3 electric field. So with Charon, we changes the requirement for level 1 to 90 instead of 50, but directly skipping level 3 to level 2. You should be able to reach level 3 by round 3 instead of round 4, because previously you reach it by round 4. Okay, if adding Charon in is not changing that, then what's the point of having him there? So with him in the party, you should be able to charge within 2 rounds. So by round 3, you should have level 3 force field. And in fact, if you are using the current Dynamo team, reaching 90 stack in 2 rounds is also not a problem at all. So Charon will reduce the whole rotation for Dynamo to 4 rounds instead of 5 rounds. Okay? So let us look into AP now. So if you are considering a 4 round rotation, and Charon also allowed himself and the unit in front of him to cast out without consuming any AP, and with each round providing 4 AP, 4 rounds, 16 AP. So again, if Charon and the character in front is not consuming ultimate, so for example, let's assume Lucy is the one in front. Lucy need 5 Moxie. So 5 AP to generate 5 Moxie. When you get Lucy's ultimate, you need 1 more AP in order to cast the ultimate. However, due to Charon in the party and Lucy in being in front of him, you don't consume AP for Lucy's ultimate. So now you require 5 AP for Lucy. And for Outreach, unfortunately, you cannot provide the buff to not consume AP using ultimate to everyone. So Outreach, no choice, you need to at least get 5 plus 1. The plus 1 refers to the ultimate, so Outreach needs 6 AP. And if my guess about Charon is correct, so if he does channel for 3 rounds and getting Moxie every single round, he just needs 2 more AP to get 2 more Moxies. And lastly, for Ezra, when you enter level 3, he auto casts a shield. So basically, you need to manually cast the shield during round 1. Sorry, during the time when the electric field is at level 1. So in that case, if it's 2 rounds in level 1, 2 rounds in level 3, 2 rounds in level 1, so you just have to use 1 buff during level 1, and then during level 3, he will automatically cast another buff. So which means over the 4 rounds, technically you just need 1 AP for Ezra in order to use the buff incantation. So with that, Lucy needs 5, Aurish needs 6, that's 11, then Ezra needs 1, that's 12, and Charon himself needs 2, so that's 14. So 16 AP, you only consume 14. Technically, you have 2 more AP left. If in worst case scenario, somewhat you are not able to buff up the character in front and Charon himself with that buff that doesn't use AP when you use ultimate, then technically you still have 16 AP. So it is fine. You will be able to ensure everyone's rotation will be fulfilled in a 4-round cycle. But I do also think that, most of the time, you would just overcast Lucy's attack anyway because that's where her main damage is from. So in that case, even you have that extra 2 more AP, Lucy and Arish will probably use it. And lastly, I think Charon will also be usable if team up with Centurion. Centurion's incantation also receive extra damage from ultimate after she uses her out, if I'm not mistaken. After she uses her out, she will enter a phase for 2 rounds where she can do a lot of damage. So if you consider this, first of all, Centurion need more than 2 rounds in order to stack up Moxie all the way to 10. So let's just say she needs like maybe slightly more than a typical unit, so maybe 3 or 4 rounds. So if you remove the other Dynamo team and you just put Ezra and Charon, you probably can hit level 3 in 3 to 4 rounds, which is sufficient for Centurion to reset, set up all the way to 10 Moxie and then start spamming her attacks. So I think this team will definitely work. So you add in Melania as well to further help in terms of Moxie generation, not only for Centurion, for Charon as well, for Ezra. So I think this team might also work. Alright? But anyway, yeah, that is my current analysis about Charon. And do let me know your comment. Okay? More information, I will wait until we have the exact figure and number. Now they just released the kit without any 30%, 40% of this, of that. They did not mention it. So I can't really pinpoint out everything perfectly well. But hopefully what I mentioned to you in this video will be the likely kit for Charon and how he is played. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video and have a good day.